I paid every single bill in our house, but my husband told his family I was too lazy to work. They all laughed and called me useless while I sat there stunned at the table. Now the power has been shut off in the middle of his poker night, and he's finally realizing what I actually do. I'm 32F, my husband is 35M, and we've been married for 5 years. No kids yet, just us, a dog, and a small rental house in a not great but fine neighborhood. I work full-time in tech from home, and he works in sales at a car dealership. His family is very traditional, and I'm not. When we first got married, we agreed that whoever made more would cover the bulk of the bills, and the other would handle more of the home stuff. Back then, he made more, so he paid rent and utilities, and I did more cooking and cleaning. It felt fair at the time. Then COVID hit, his income tanked, he hopped jobs twice, and I landed a fully remote job that paid way better than anything either of us had ever made. We shifted things around. I took over rent, utilities, groceries, internet, my car payment, most of our dates, and basically everything that required a credit check or auto pay. He helped when he could, which usually meant tossing $200 here and there toward groceries or gas and paying for his own hobbies, gym membership, poker nights, video games, and random gadgets. Our finances were never 100% merged. We had my personal account where my paycheck went and all the big bills came out, a joint checking account we both used for random shared stuff, which he called our money, even though it was like 80% me, his personal account for his fun spending. I kept it that way partly because his spending could be impulsive, and I didn't want the rent bouncing because he forgot he ordered some dumb gadget at 2 a.m. Anyway, his family never understood that dynamic. From day one, his mom would say stuff like, "A real man pays the bills," and "Women shouldn't stress about money, that's the husband's job." I always kind of smiled and nodded because it wasn't worth the argument at every holiday. The thing is, my husband never corrected them. Ever. He would talk about my house, my bills, my responsibilities in this proud tone, and I assumed it was just ego fluff, not an actual lie. I figured they thought we split or that he still made more. I didn't love it, but I also didn't care enough to have a big fight. Here's how it really started to go off the rails. About 6 months ago, we were at his parents' place for a cookout. His dad was joking about kids these days being lazy and not wanting to work, and my husband, laughing, goes, "Yeah, OP works from home, so half the time she's in pajamas pretending to type." Everyone laughed. His sister said, "Must be nice to sit around all day while my brother's out there working his butt off." I said, "I actually work more hours than you. I'm salaried," kind of half joking, half not. My husband goes, "Come on, it's not real work like being on your feet all day." They all chuckled. I tried to brush it off at the time, but on the drive home I told him, "Hey, that wasn't cool. I actually work extremely hard at that job, and I pay for pretty much everything." He said I was overreacting. It was just a joke, and I should stop being so sensitive. That was the first little crack. Since then, I started noticing a pattern. He'd say things like, "I provide for this house," when he was annoyed that the dishwasher wasn't loaded or when I asked him to pick up after himself. I'd say, "You know I pay the rent, right?" And he'd say, "Yeah, with our money. It's not a competition." To be clear, our money was my salary going into a joint account he dipped into whenever he felt like it. So yeah, then last month was his mom's birthday dinner, big family thing at their place. His parents, his sister and BIL, a couple cousins, everyone. They're all very loud, very opinionated people. We're sitting at the table and his mom starts complaining about one of his cousin's girlfriends who won't get a job and just lives off him. Then she looks at me and goes, "At least you're not like that. You're looking for work, right?" I was confused. I said, "I have a job. I've been at the same company for 2 years. His mom frowns and looks at my husband.
I thought you said she was at home, not working. My husband laughs and goes, she does some computer thing, but it's not like a real 9 to 5. She doesn't pay any bills. I felt my face go hot. His sister joins in. Must be nice being a stay-at-home wife without the kids part. His cousin, bro, you're spoiling her. I'd kill for my wife to cover the bills for once. Everyone laughed. I said, actually, I pay the rent and utilities. Before I could even finish, my husband cuts in. Yeah, from the joint account. I'm the one filling that account. She just logs in and pays it. I just stared at him. It was such a straight-faced lie that my brain kind of stalled. His dad pats him on the back and says, that's what a man does, provides. Your generation might be lazy, but you turned out all right. Someone made another crack about how I just sit at home in leggings watching Netflix, and I felt this mix of humiliation and rage hit me all at once. I excused myself, went to the bathroom, and just sat on the edge of the tub trying not to cry. When I came back, the conversation had moved on. He didn't look a little guilty. On the drive home, I said, very calmly, you lied. That was a straight-up lie. He goes, they're old-fashioned. I didn't feel like getting into our finances. Why make it awkward? I said, you didn't just avoid details. You literally told me I don't pay bills and don't work. They laughed at me. He shrugged and said, you're taking it too personally. I'm just trying not to look like a loser whose wife makes more than me. Sorry if that offends your feminist sensibilities. We argued for the entire drive. At one point, he said, look, I'm the man. I need them to see me as the provider. It's embarrassing for me if they know you're the one paying everything. I said, okay, then be the provider. He rolled his eyes and said, don't start with the drama. I won't lie, something snapped in me right then. I said, I'm not joking. Starting next month, I'm not paying for the house. You can be the provider you keep pretending to be. He laughed. Actual laugh. Sure, babe, you do that. When we got home, I didn't slam doors or anything. I just got on my laptop and started making changes. I removed my card from the joint account automatic payments for rent, electric, gas, and internet. I changed my direct deposit to a new personal account he didn't have access to. I left the joint account open with $200 in it and told him, in writing, starting next month, all household bills are your responsibility since you want to be seen as the sole provider. I will pay only my personal expenses. He texted back a laughing emoji and, okay, princess, sure thing. I kept screenshots.
The first week of the month rolled around. My payday hit my new account. Rent was due on the 3rd, electric on the 5th, internet on the 6th. On the 2nd, I reminded him, rent is due tomorrow. Did you pay it? He said, I got it. I'm not stupid. He did not got it. What he did do was spend that week bragging to his friends about hosting poker night on Friday. New felt-top poker table from Amazon, extra chairs, fancy chip set, all of it. I could see the transactions leaving his account because he still had the banking app set up on the tablet we both use. I didn't spy, he just never logged out. There was no giant rent payment, no electric bill, just $60 here, $120 there. Poker table, DoorDash, liquor store. To be clear, I did quietly pay my own non-house stuff, my car, my phone, my student loan. All that was moved to the new account. I wasn't nuking my own credit to prove a point. I was just stepping back from being the invisible wallet for everything he took credit for. Anyway, Friday comes, poker night. He's been hyping it up all week. The guys are coming over at 7. Don't hog the living room, okay? I said, did you pay the electric bill? He waves me off. Stop nagging. I paid it. Spoiler, he had not paid it. His friends show up. They're loud, laughing, beers cracking open, music, the whole thing. I retreat to the bedroom with the dog and my laptop. Around 8:30, I'm mid-episode of some show when suddenly everything goes dark. like full click-off. AC, lights, Wi-Fi. Total silence for half a second, then all I hear is confused yelling from the living room. Did the breaker trip? Bro, what did you plug in? Did the Wi-Fi just die? I sit there for a minute. I knew what it probably was, but I wanted to see how he handled it. He yells down the hall, "Babe, did you do something? The power went out." I yelled back, "Nope." He and one of his friends start fumbling with their phone flashlights, going to the breaker box. They flip everything on and off. Nothing. Then I hear him call the electric company. He gives them the account info. There's this long pause. Then his voice changes. "What do you mean past due?" Another pause. "How much?" His friends are just standing there in our half-dark kitchen cracking jokes like, "Damn, bro didn't pay the light bill," and "Guess we're playing old school by candlelight." He hangs up and storms down the hall with his phone flashlight on his face, looking pissed and embarrassed. He goes, "They said they cut it off for non-payment. Did you forget to pay it?" I just looked at him and said, "No, I stopped paying it. I told you I was done paying the house bills." He stares at me like I just spoke another language. "You're not serious." I pulled out my phone, opened our text thread, scrolled to the message from 2 weeks ago, and held it up. "I told you. In writing. You said, 'Okay, princess.'" He goes, "I thought you were bluffing. Who actually does that?" I said, "Apparently, I do." His friends were awkwardly quiet by then, but you could tell they were hearing everything. One of them muttered, "Dude," under his breath. My husband says, "So you're just going to let them turn the power off and embarrass me in front of my friends?" I said, "You were happy to let your entire family think I'm a lazy freeloader while I paid every bill. Maybe this is just everyone finally seeing the truth." To be clear, I know letting the power get shut off isn't ideal. I know someone's going to say I cut my nose a wave of shame and anger. I had a backup plan. If he completely panicked or refused to pay, I was ready to call in a payment from my new account the next morning. I wasn't planning to live in a dark house for weeks. But I wasn't going to leap in and rescue him in the moment so he could keep pretending to be the hero. He told his friends poker night was over and basically shoved them out the door. There was a lot of, "Good luck, man," and one guy actually said, "Hey, OP, sorry, that sucks," which made my husband glare at him. Once they left, it was just us, in the dim light from our phones. He started in immediately. "I can't believe you did that. That was needlessly petty. You made me look like I can't pay my own bills." I said, "You can't pay your own bills, or ours, because you didn't." He goes, "You sabotaged me to prove a point." I said, "No, I stopped doing unpaid, invisible labor and let the natural consequences happen. I reminded you multiple times. I am not your mom." We argued in circles for what felt like hours. He kept saying things like, "This isn't how marriages work," and "You're supposed to have my back, not humiliate me." I said, "I did have your back for years while you lied about it to make yourself look good. You humiliated me in front of your family. You called me lazy while I paid 100% of the bills. You didn't care then." Eventually, I grabbed my keys, said, "I'm going to my sister's," and left the dog with me. I left him in the dark. Literally. The next morning, I checked our electric account on my phone. He had paid the past due amount plus the reconnection fee from his own account. It wasn't cheap. I know that probably wiped out his fun money for the month. A couple hours later, he texted me, "Power is back. You coming home or what?" I replied, "We need to talk about finances and the way you talk about me to people." He didn't answer right away. Then his mom started texting. Apparently, he'd already called his mom the night before. From the tone of her messages, he tried to spin it like I randomly refused to pay bills out of nowhere. She said things like, "How could you do that to my son? You're acting like a child. He works so hard to support you, and you repay him by shutting off his power?" I calmly replied, "I have paid every bill for the last 3 years. He told you I don't work and don't pay anything. That's a lie. I can send you statements if you want." She wrote back, "You're being dramatic." So I sent screenshots, rent receipts in my name, electric bills paid from my account,
A statement showing my salary and the dates it hit the joint account. I didn't add commentary, just for your information. She didn't reply after that. Later that day, my husband showed up at my sister's with this defeated look on his face. Not angry shouting like the night before, just tired. He said, "My mom called. She saw the screenshots." I said, "And?" He sat down and said, "She asked why I lied. I didn't know what to say. I told her I was embarrassed that you make more than me." I just stared at him. He said, "I know it was messed up. I know. I wanted them to respect me. I didn't think it mattered that much how they saw you. I figured you're strong enough to not care." To be clear, that hurt more than anything. I said, "So you assumed I was okay being your doormat because I'm strong enough to handle it?" He didn't answer. We talked for a long time. Tears, yelling, long silences, the whole thing. I laid everything out. I'm done being spoken about like I'm lazy or useless. I'm done being the default bill payer while he takes credit. I'm done doing 80% of the financial work and 60% of the housework and being told I don't do anything. I told him if he wants to stay married, we're going to a couples therapist and a financial planner. We're putting everything in writing. Split of bills, chores, savings, all of it. No more vibes-based finances. He agreed, but he also kept circling back to, "You went too far letting the power get cut mid-poker night." I said, "Maybe, but you weren't listening when I used words. You listened when the lights went out." I know how that sounds. I know some people will say I went nuclear. I'm not pretending I handled it perfectly, but I also know that if I had quietly kept paying the bills, he'd still be telling his family I'm a lazy wife who doesn't really work. This whole thing has cracked open something that was already broken. I moved back home after that conversation, but things are very tense. We've had 2 sessions with the couples counselor so far. He's been forced to say out loud, in front of a stranger, that his wife pays everything, and he lied about it for years. You could see how much he hated those words leaving his mouth. We're in the middle of untangling the money. For now, we agreed 50-50 on rent and utilities moving forward. We each keep our personal accounts. Joint account is for shared savings and emergencies only. No more jokes to his family about me being lazy or not working. If I hear it again, I'm out. His family has gone quiet. No apology, but no more comments either. I think they're more embarrassed about being wrong than anything else. I don't know yet if this marriage is going to survive this. Some days I feel hopeful because he is actually doing the work. Other days I look at him and only see the guy who sat at the table smiling while his family laughed about how useless I am, while their son lives on the lights I pay for. To be clear, I'm not looking for revenge. I just don't want to live with someone who benefits from my work and then pretends I do nothing. Anyway, that's where we're at. Stories like this are the only thing making me feel slightly less crazy right now. Comments. Comment 1. You both sound messy, but I'm not going to lie. Letting the power get cut during his poker night was wild. You proved your point, but you also punished yourself in the process. Personally, I think you should have moved your money and told him, then let him miss a bill without you sitting in the dark too. Comment 2. I'm curious about the actual numbers here. When you say you paid 100% of the bills, do you mean literally every fixed expense? Rent, utilities, groceries, car, and he just covered his hobbies? Or did he actually contribute to things like groceries sometimes? The dynamic matters for how bad this really was. Comment 3. Separate finances and written agreements like yesterday. Keep your salary in your own account, pay your agreed half of the joint expenses from there, and that's it. Everything else, therapy, boundaries with his family, and clear no more lies or I leave, needs to be in place. You're not his mom, accountant, and PR agent all rolled into one. Comment 4. Been there with the "my wife doesn't really work" comments. My ex used to tell people I just played on the computer while I was literally paying his tuition. It never changed even after counseling. I'm not saying divorce him, but don't minimize how deep that disrespect runs. Comment 5. Please be careful about tying yourself to him financially again. He already showed he's willing to lie to protect his ego.
Next time, it could be, she ran up all my credit cards when you were the one keeping you both afloat. Protect your credit and have an exit plan just in case. Update. It's been about 3 weeks since poker night/power off gate. First, the bills. We met with a financial counselor through my work benefits. She basically confirmed what I already knew, but it helped having a neutral third party say it. We set up a Google Sheet listing every bill, due date, and who is responsible for what. Automatic transfers from his account and mine into the joint account specifically for rent and utilities. An agreement that if one of us wants to host anything, poker night, girls' night, whatever, it has to come after bills are paid for that pay period. Second, his family, he actually told them the truth, on speaker, in front of me, and the therapist. He said, I lied that OP doesn't work and doesn't pay bills because I was embarrassed she makes more than me. It was the most awkward silence I've ever sat through. His mom tried to say, well, we just assumed, and he cut her off for once and said, you assumed because I let you. That's on me. No apology from them, but honestly, I wasn't expecting miracles. At least the narrative shifted. Third, us. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I still don't fully trust him. He's being better day to day, doing more around the house, checking the spreadsheet, sending me screenshots when he pays something. But trust isn't just about tasks. It's about whether I believe he has my back when I'm not in the room. We're still in counseling. We've had some good sessions and some really ugly ones. In one of them, he admitted he liked the props he got from his family more than he cared about whether it hurt me. Hearing that out loud sucked, but at least it's honest. And finally, I opened my own emergency savings account in just my name and moved a chunk of money there. If he backslides, if I hear one more lazy comment or find out he's lying about me again, I'm done. No dramatic power cuts, no big showdown. I'll just quietly move out and be finished. For now, I'm staying, watching, and actually valuing my own work and money in a way I clearly wasn't before. I changed the auto-pays, I'm doing my half, and I'm not covering for him anymore. I'm not contacting his family unless it's polite small talk at a holiday, and I'm definitely never sitting through another family dinner where people laugh about how useless I am while their son lives on the lights I pay for.